to record this. And so I want to, again, just welcome you guys. And I want you guys to get ready. I want everybody to get to where they can type in the chat. I have got some questions for you that I want to start off tonight with. All right. So everybody ready? Thumbs up. Everybody ready? You ready to do some typing? All right, here we go. You're going to be typing throughout tonight. So just be ready. You're going to have a pen at 1 minute and then you're going to be typing the next. All right. So here we go. In the comments, I want you to comment just something that you're grateful for. I want you to tell me just something that you're grateful for. So go do that. Go for it. Family, remission. That's a good one, Amanda. Your daughter, my house. I love that. Plexus. Family and friends, my family. Family's always the top one for sure. Awesome. I really want everybody to comment if you can, all right? Okay. If everybody's commented that, I would now want you to comment with something that you are grateful for about today. So like mine would be, I got to meet up and have coffee with an old friend today that I have not seen in actually several years. So it doesn't have to be something that big. It can be something much smaller, but something that you're grateful for about today. That's a big one. Randa's 45th birthday. Good news that brought relief. The sun was shining. That right there is enough to celebrate, right? Like that is enough to celebrate. You sub for first grade. I'm glad you're thankful for that, Amy. Went to visit out of town, had a conversation with a new friend. I love it. Oh, it's fun. First grade's fun. I only worked over 1 hour. There you go. That's something to celebrate. Loving on others. That always makes me feel so thankful and grateful. Got to hang out with a good friend. I love that. Love it. Love it. I love reading all these. Started a team chat with a new ambassador. I love these. Beautiful weather. You know what? There is nothing better than beautiful weather and getting outside. Like that in my book is just like, that is high up there on something I'm grateful for on days like that. All right. Last question. Comment something that you're grateful for about Plexus. All right. Something you're grateful for. It can be anything. It can be the business. It can be the products. It can be the friendships. It can be the actual company itself. It can be us together as a community. Tell me something that I can poop. Energy. Hey, when you can't poop, that's a big deal. Everything Plexus, improving my health and the energy, all of it. The products work and this team. I love that. Working from home. What a blessing. Seriously, what a blessing. The friendships. The friendships. It's all about the community, isn't it? It always comes back to the community. The hope it gives me for my future. I love that, Jessica. That is such a good one. Love that. No more migraines. And it's been a long time, hasn't it, Amy? Like it has been a long time of you being able to say that. All right. So I did this tonight to kind of prove a point, and actually it's cracking me up because I feel like unintentionally, I actually really proved a point. The first 15 seconds of a conversation are the most crucial. My plan was to get on here tonight, hit record, and we were just going to go into this moment of gratefulness. I wanted us just to go into this moment, prepare our hearts, just get us ready of what we're thankful for, what we're grateful for. And then I had the whole thing with the password happen, right? And it sets the tone for a conversation. It sets the tone for what the conversation you're about to have. And it's kind of cracking me up. I'm like, I hear you, God. I hear you, like it doesn't always go as planned, but I want you to remember that we're going to be talking tonight all about conversation, all about how to have successful conversations in the field that we're in. And the first 15 seconds of any conversation is when you are making a first impression. It's when you're setting the tone for the rest of the interaction. Phil M. Jones, who I'm about to tell you more about, uses one of three frameworks to start any conversation. So you have to remember, most of the time, this is a one-on-one conversation. You can start it with a genuine compliment, sincere recognition, or the request of an opinion. Three great ways to start a conversation and to start off those first 15 seconds successfully. He says to aim specific. So that's why I narrowed this down, like, give me something you are grateful for about Plexus. Aim specific, not wide, because when you aim specific in a conversation, it actually bleeds wide. It ends up bleeding wide. So I wanted to start that off because that pours over into every area of your life, not just when you're talking to people about Plexus. The first 15 seconds, when you walk in the door at home, the first 15 seconds, be aware of that. When you are, meeting someone at church that you haven't seen, that first 15 seconds, it makes such an impact on how the rest of the conversation is going to go, how you leave that person feeling for the day. So this past week, I was invited to go to California to the Star Diamond Mastermind. This was our second year to have it, and I loved it. I will say it is both years I have come home mentally very tired. And they have us, last year we had an entire day training with Henry Cloud. This year it was Phil M. Jones. I'll tell you a little bit more about this book in just a second, but this is the book he's really known for. And then we went into like a 4-hour meeting with the executives. So I will talk a little bit more about that at the end of our call. But so you come home a little tired, a little drained, needed a little time to process everything. But it was fantastic. The more I pour over my notes, I literally have over 20 pages of notes in this notebook. I could not write fast enough as Phil was training us. So again, I want to encourage you, as we go through tonight, I want to encourage you to get this little book. This little book will literally take you, well, on Audible. I pulled it up on Audible just to see. On Audible, he can read it to you in an hour and 14 minutes. One book, an hour and 14 minutes. As he even said, it's big words with lots of white space, all right? But man, this is an impactful little book for your business, but really for life, because we can't do life without conversations. So if you want successful conversations with anybody in your life, this is going to be such a helpful book to you. And again, you can read it so quickly. I actually read through it again. I listened to it again today. So I believe this is my second or maybe my third time to read through this book. It is one of those books that you need to read multiple times because it requires practice. This does not always come naturally. It's going to require practice of what he's teaching in here, but it's so simple. All right. So I want to encourage you. Something he talked to us about was when you're in the room, be in that room. So I want you to apply that to tonight. Tonight, I want us to be in this room as though we were sitting in a room together. I love Zoom. I love technology. I'm so thankful for it. But so many times I wish we could all just say, hey, let's meet up down the road and let's just meet up and do this face to face. I want to see your faces. I want to talk to you and you converse back with me. So I know it's a little bit harder on Zoom. We have distractions, but let's try tonight just to be in this room together. So as I said, his whole everything he talks about is about conversations. It's about his first book, I think, was called Magic Words. It's all about using the magic words to have successful conversations, to know how to, when you're using it in sales, how to truly actually get that person to see that they need what you are selling. But it's, again, every area of your life, really. The worst time to think about the thing you are saying is in the moment you are saying it. So how many of us have been there? I've been there more times than I can count, where you're in a conversation. Maybe it was even a conversation you knew was coming, but you didn't prepare yourself. And then you're just stumbling over your words. You don't know what to say. And then what do we always do later? Later, we rehash it and we're like, why didn't I say this? Or I wish I would have said this, or whatever. The worst time to think about the thing you are saying is in the moment you are saying it. So be about mastering not necessarily your words, but mastering the moments that we're in. We want to master those moments. This is actually a role that you have as a leader. And I know some of you are going, I'm not a leader. You are a leader. If you are on this call and your goal is to continue to pursue a Plexus business, you are leading people in Plexus. So you are a leader. The key to this is that we don't need all the answers. You don't have to go into a conversation with all the answers. Actually, by far, you don't want all the answers. If you go into a conversation thinking that you have all the answers, that conversation is destined to flop. All right. You go into a conversation knowing that what you really want is that other person to think. And this, I always think back to parenting when I think of this. If I go into a conversation, I've done this with my girls, and I am just like, listen, I got the answers. Maybe I don't say it quite like that, but in my head, I'm thinking it. You need to do this and blah, 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 and I'm giving them all the answers. What do they normally do? They normally just shut down on you, right? Like glazed look. They're just like, great, mom's got all the answers again, right? What do they really want? What do you really want? When you are going to your husband and you are upset or you just need someone, what is it that you are really wanting? Somebody to be heard. Exactly. People just want to be heard. We have to let people think. And that goes when we are talking to them about Plexus, we have to let them think. So again, I just want to say everything I'm giving you tonight was what Phil gave us. This is nothing that I came up with on my own, so I don't want y'all thinking that I did, because I didn't. I'm not that smart. One thing he talked to us about was how to develop a habit called later today. That is the habit. It's called later today. So when you know that later today, I am having a conversation with Sue about Plexus. Maybe Sue is brand new. She just joined, and I want to tell her, I want to get her to understand maybe why she wants to share Plexus. I don't want to wait until the moment I get on the phone with Sue. I want to give a micro moment, what he called a micro moment, to who you are speaking to later that day. Don't wait until you're in the moment. Schedule conversations, put thoughtful thought into your moments. So working earlier in the day of, okay, this is my conversation with Sue. I need to learn more about Sue. What is the situation? When did she order? What did she order? What can I find out about her? Is there a way for me to find out more of her situation ahead of time? Just remember, you cannot debrief a conversation and change it. We all wish we could, right? Like, how many of us wish that we could debrief conversations all the time and go back and change it, whether it be in Plexus or whether it be with a family member? I mean, we've all been there with our spouse, right? Where we're like, I wish I could debrief that and change everything I just said. And we can't. We don't get to do that. But what we can do is plan ahead. So make sure that you are planning ahead for your conversation if you know that you're going to be having one. The person asking the questions controls the conversation. If you take nothing else from this call, take that. The person asking the questions always controls the conversation. So go back, think about your kids. Instead of wanting to give them the advice that you know they need, right? We usually do know what's best. We know the right decision. If we ask thoughtful questions, if we ask the right questions, what usually happens is that we can usually, not always, but we can usually get them to that point. We can get them to the point where it actually ends up becoming their idea. And that is what we want in any conversation that we're having. And that obviously goes for plexus. So when we are talking to people, when we are conversing with them, questions will lead to conversations. Conversations then lead to relationships. Relationships lead to opportunities, and opportunities then actually lead to action. And that's what we want. That's what we're in this business for. So the person asking the questions controls the conversations. When it comes to conversations, you never want to insert content before you know their context. How many of us are guilty, right? How many of us, I will try to go back and put more of this at the end. You know what? I'll just repeat that one. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste it. Here we go. How many of us though are guilty of really putting in our content and what we want to say before we know the other person's context? We don't really know where they're coming from. We don't really know what they're struggling with. We don't know their issues because we think we already have the answer. You may have the answer, but if you don't know their context, they will never hear the answer. So don't insert your content before you know their context. You have to understand where they're coming from. And this is where empathy comes in. This is where you have to have empathy for the person that you're talking to. And we often think that empathy is super complicated and we overcomplicate it, and it's not. I think this was a quote from John Acuff that Phil M. Jones quoted. It says, all it takes is caring about what people we care about care about. I'm going to say that again, and then I'll put that one in the chat as well. So all it takes is caring about what people we care about care about. That's empathy. And I think that's such a simple, broke down, easy to understand definition of empathy. So when it's someone you care about, you have to care about what they care about. All right. So when it comes to conversations, that is key. You have to know their context. You have to know where they are coming from. You have to show empathy before you can ever give them a solution, before they will ever listen to your solution. You can give it to them, but they're not going to listen until they know that you care. It's that old quote, people don't care about how much you know till they know how much you care. Goes right along with that. All right, get ready. I want to ask you another question in the chat. I want you to answer this, and there's no right or wrong answer here. All right, no right or wrong answer. Nobody is going to be corrected for this one. So I want you to answer this question in the chat. Who is the most important person in your life? Go ahead and answer that. No right or wrong answer. And not God. Okay, I'm talking, okay, let me back up. Yes, God, Jesus, yes. I'm talking about someone on this earth, another human being. A human being. That's what I'm asking. I should have. Phil had to clarify that too when he asked, because everybody's like, God, where he's like, yes, God. But okay. Most people are putting spouse. Most people are putting children. Kendall put mentors. That's a great one. Mom and kids. So and that's what everybody said when we were at this meeting. I want to actually challenge that. While those people are the most important person in your life, the reason that they're the most important person in your life is because they're yours. So I want to challenge you to actually revisit that and maybe, realize that actually for most people, the most important person is themselves. And that's hard sometimes, especially those of us that are Christians. That's hard for us to say that. We don't even want to say that. But the reason your husband is the most important is because he's your husband. The reason your kids are the most important is because they're your children. And even the reason mentors are the most important is because they're your mentors, right? They're feeding into your life. So it usually always goes back to you. And that's what you have to remember when you are actually talking to other people. When you are having the conversations with other people, it goes back to them. It always goes back to them. So in the chat, I want you to tell me what you think. Again, no right or wrong answer. What do you think is the least, with what I just said, what is the least influential word on the planet? On the entire planet, what do you think would be the least, if I'm trying to influence someone, what would be the least influential word? The least, most of you got it. Well, this is according to Phil. The least influential word on the planet is I, closely followed by my, and even we. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're talking to people. I don't want to overwhelm you tonight with too much information because so much of this is just going to take practice. And I'm going to talk about that at the end. But I want you to rethink how we're talking to people. When you were talking to your husband and he's constantly like, well, I feel this and I this and I that, usually that will shut you down, right? And because you do not feel like you are being seen. You don't feel like you are being heard. So an example of that is what I have to offer is, or even what we offer is, that is not very influential when you are using it in a sales way, trying to sell someone plexus. I know some people cringe at that, but the reality is we are in sales, right? We are trying to sell. Some people are like, no, I'm in the sharing business. You are, but we are trying to sell people plexus at the end of the day. Otherwise, why are we here? We're here for a reason. We can get into our why, but we're here at the end of the day to sell people plexus. So instead of what I have to offer is, or what we, meaning plexus, has to offer is, another way to word that is what you would benefit from is, see how much different that sounds? What you would benefit from with the triplex is, versus what we have to offer is the triplex, and this is how it helps. So I want you to rethink those words. I want you to think about that when you're talking to people and we're constantly using the word I and my and we. It is important that we share our story, but we need to share it in a way that it's relatable to other people. Make it about them. Transfer all the I's and the my's and the we's to use. That's what your goal is. When you can do that, you want to transfer it to you and you want to make it about them. People do things for their own reasons, not yours. They are not going to buy plexus because of your reasons. They're going to buy plexus for their own reasons. So you have to get to the bottom of what their reasons are before they're ready to buy. All right. Next up, again, I just took my notes. I tried to highlight my biggest takeaways. So I do feel like I could do a lot more calls and break some of this down for you. But I just wanted to go ahead and get some of this information to you tonight. Next up, something that I thought was interesting was, he said, did you know that no one wants to make more money? We were all like, what? Everybody wants to make more money. That's why we're here. He said they actually want to make more money because there's always a because. It's not that people just want to make more money. There's a reason. Good reasons, bad reasons, neutral reasons. There's always a because. So when you are talking to people, do you know their because? Same thing when you're just trying to get someone to purchase Plexus, right? Do you know their because? Our jobs as leaders is to find out, he said this, what is next and what is next and what is next. There's always a next. You are never going to find out their next until you are asking questions. You have to be asking questions. He said to always trigger that show me you know me button. You guys, do you have people in your life that when you talk to them, you feel that to where you're like, they know, they see me right now. They get me. He said they triggered that show me you know me. And how do you feel when you have that conversation with that person? And you're like, they get me. Like they get me. That's because they triggered the show me you know me. And we have to master that. We need to master that we see other people, that we hear other people, and then ultimately we know them. We get them, we see them, and we're there for them. We want to help them. So you have to trigger that show me you know me button. How you do that is through trust. Trust is the currency of leadership. All right. And trust goes back to everything we've been talking about so far. Trust equals curiosity and empathy. When you can show somebody true curiosity in their life, you listen a lot more than you talk. Did everybody hear that? You listen a lot more than you talk. And you can truly empathize with them. You know, they know that you care about what they care about. You start to generate trust, and trust is determined by relatability. All right. So you have to build trust in this business to get you anywhere. He said, if you want to go fast in this business, go alone. You've seen people that do it, and they seem to be going really fast in this business. But if you want to go far, which I think we can all raise our hand, that's where we want to be. We want to go far in this business. The only way to do that is to go together. The only way to do that is to build trust with the people that you're working with. And again, the only way to build trust is to have true curiosity into why they want to do this, where their life is, where they've been, and then to show true empathy. When you do that, you build trust, and that's when your business will go further, which is what we want. All right. The people that just go it alone, they don't build relationships because they don't ever build trust with people. They seemingly go fast. But a business like that is not sustainable. You cannot sustain a business like that when there's never trust built with the people that you are doing business with. So trust is key. I mean, you have to have trust when you are building this business. People have to know that they actually trust you, to want to work with you, to want to purchase from you. They need to know that they trust you. So my question is for you, this is the question I want you to process. Are you showing up with high levels of certainty, or are you showing up with high levels of curiosity? This goes into every conversation that you have in Plexus. When you're talking to someone, a brand new prospect, when you are talking to someone that's purchased and you're trying to get them to see the value in sharing their link, when you are just coaching someone that's been with you for 5 years. Are you showing up with high levels of certainty? You know it all. You can help them. You know what products they need. You know how to get them sharing, and you know what their problem is in their business. Or are you, and that all of that may be true, But if you're not showing up with high levels of curiosity first, you have lost them. You will not keep them around. They're already gone. The ultimate leader actually usually offers no advice. If you do it right and you ask the right questions, you don't need to offer advice. You lead them down a path of questions and curiosity. Most of the time, people come to you, they know the answer. They do. They usually know what's wrong with their health, and they know somewhat of how to get to better health, right? They know what's wrong with their finances and why they need a side business. Most of the time, they even know what's people that's been with me 5 years, they know what's wrong with their business. They ultimately know. It's my job to get them to say it, not for me to say, well, you know, you haven't shared anything in 3 months. So what are you expecting? My goal instead is to ask the right questions to get them to say, well, I haven't shared anything in 3 months. That could be the problem in my business, right? That's my goal, is to get them to say that versus me saying it and they don't listen. You have to ask questions that lead to the person coming up with the solution on their own, like I just said. Curiosity is learned. This is not a natural trait, you guys. So if you're sitting there going, well, man, like I must really stink as a human being because I don't feel like I'm very curious when I go into conversations. Join the club. We're all there. We're naturally not curious because it goes back to the question I asked. Because usually, admit it or not, we're the most important person in our life. So it is not human nature for us to be super curious. It is a learned skill, but the good news is you can learn it. You can learn it. You can learn to be more curious. And man, when you do become that person, it actually provides so much more peace in your life. It provides peace in your business because it's not about you. It actually is such a win-win situation for you and the person that you're working with. So curiosity is learned and everybody can learn it. So I just want to give you an example, just kind of a rough example of what this might look like. Someone comes to you and they're like, hey, Kendall, like, I saw your post and I really need more energy. All right. Someone tells me that. There are times that, oh, Sunday, I like that. We are all closet narcissists. Yes, we are. So if someone said that to me, and y'all, I've been doing this 10 years. I'm just telling you, temptation is to be like, well, my goodness, you need active. You need active. Here's what active does. Here's active ingredients. That is not what I want to do, right? That is not what I want to do. They've told me they need more energy. I want to begin asking questions. First question I want to ask them is, what have you tried in the past? Tell me what you've tried in the past. Well, lots of coffee, lots of Diet Coke, tried to get more sleep, whatever it is. I want to know what they've tried in the past. And then my next question is, well, how did that work? What did that do for you? Like, did it give you more energy? Are you ingesting a tons of caffeine? Is it making you jittery? How did that work? My next question is did it help? Like, did it help at all? And they might be like, well, yeah, I mean, I was more awake at 3 p.m., but I was also wide awake at 1 a.m. because I just had way too much coffee throughout the day. I want to get to the point to where I've asked several questions till I finally say, what do you know about active? Because the reality is, if they've come to me and said, I want energy, they've probably seen something that I've said, heard something I've said, or just seen something that Plexus can help with energy. So I want to ask them, what do you know about active? And then continue the conversation from there. But do you see what I've done? I have asked about the past. I have tried to understand where they've been, what they've tried. I might ask questions like, how long have you struggled with not having high energy? What has that felt like? I want to ask those questions to where they know I truly understand, I see where they've been, and I genuinely want to help them be able to have energy in a healthy, clean way. Next example, they want weight loss. All right. So Same thing. I want to ask them, what have you tried in the past? Right. And that's always, boy, most people could fill up a book of all the things they've tried in the past for weight loss, if that's what they're coming to you for. I want to ask them, did it work? Did you have success? Did it help? I want to know those questions. And then I want to ask them questions like, well, what do you think you need more of to be successful? And examples of things they might say is like, I might need more protein. I might need higher protein. I really need appetite control. Like, can you help me with appetite control, Jana? Like, what can you give me to control my appetite? I need more exercise. So that's going to lead me into, well, tell me, what do you know about lean? What do you know about slim? What do you know about balance? What do you know about pivotal? And that leads me into conversation of me being able to give them the information that they truly need. But at that point, they're ready to make a decision. They've been heard. I know where they've been. I see where they want to go, and I can truly help them because they trust me at that point. I have built trust with them. Ask lots of questions from the past, not always the future. What have you tried versus what do you want? I want to know their past. I want to see their history. That's when people truly feel seen and heard, is when they you see where they've been. You see the road they've been on. All right. This will also help you continue a conversation. When you ask about the past, this helps you to be able to continue conversation. Remember, that's our goal with the next and next and next. That moves you to the future. Eventually you will get to the future, but you can't just skip ahead to the future. I have to understand their past and where they're coming from and why they're talking to me before I can move them ahead to the future. So some other examples of some great questions you can ask is, when was the last time you felt that way? How often do you feel that way? Maybe they're telling me I have migraines. Well, when was the last time you had a migraine? How often do you have a migraine? How long have migraines been an issue for you? And you can use that obviously in so many different situations. Another tip that I thought was so smart, and again, it's a learned, this is a learned like little switch of how you say things. When you are asking questions, don't say tell me. That sounds kind of harsh, like, you could be like, well, tell me, or we don't mean it that way. But instead, a better way to say that is, help me understand. Help me understand how these migraines make you feel. Help me understand, what it is that you are wanting from Plexus. Help me understand why you reached out. Help me understand is such a better way to say it versus just like, tell me. Nothing seriously wrong with tell me, but I just thought that was such a little neat little nugget of advice that you can take, like a practical way you can take that into conversations. Remember that before you can move to a solution, aka the future, you have to have a diagnosis. All right. That's why this is so important. That's why learning their past is so important. Your job is to nail their diagnosis. You got to nail it, right? Don't worry. I'm not saying diagnosis as in you need to be a physician. That's not what I'm saying. This goes for any area of your life. Your middle school girl comes to you and she's upset about something that happens at school today. Before I can give her advice on her friendships, I need to understand where she's coming from. I need to understand exactly what happened. I need to listen to her. You have not listened well until you are able to say it back to them. You can present back to them exactly what they've said to you. You have not listened well enough until you are capable of doing that. And until you are able to do that, you cannot give them their solution. All right. So for example, if I went to a doctor today and I was like, listen, I got this ache and pain. And she was like, okay, here's a prescription, which actually sometimes doctors do that nowadays. But would we think that was a good doctor if they didn't listen to anything I said, if they didn't examine me, if they didn't really try to understand exactly where this ache and pain was located, when it hurts me, how it makes me feel, does it really disable me from doing my daily life? All those questions need to be asked before I feel confident in her handing me the solution to my problem. All right. So you wouldn't trust a doctor that did that, spent 60 seconds with you or less. And we would probably be looking for a new doctor. If you didn't, you probably should. So um, that is our job as well when we are listening to people. Okay. So remember, the person asking questions controls the conversation. I'm going to say this one more time because I've already said it once, but I put it in the comment, in the chat. Questions lead to conversations. Conversations lead to relationships. Relationships lead to opportunities, and opportunities lead to action. All right. So keep that in mind. That's why it always has to start with good, thoughtful questions. Part of this, like I kind of worded this the same way, but never give advice if you can't say this exact phrase. Write this phrase down. Because of the fact that you said ... Never, ever give advice. Don't be tempted to be like, you need the triplex, go order right now. Don't say it if you can't say, because of the fact that you said. By saying that, you are proving that you listened. That person then is going to have trust, and people will not buy from you. They will not stick with you if they don't trust you. So prove that you listened, and always think before you speak, can I say, because of the fact that you said ... whatever it is. All right. I want you to remember, as we talk about this, I thought this was good that he really stressed this. I've given you a lot of information, and I actually still have more information. I could literally be here for several hours with everything he gave us, and I'm not going to keep you here for that long. But just remember that nothing will work with everyone all of the time. It just won't. We're dealing with humans. We're humans. And so this is not, we're not robots. Nothing will work with everyone all of the time. And this is often why people get discouraged. They hear a training like this and they try to implement it. And there's a couple things to that. One, this takes practice. As with anything, you will fumble through it the first few times. It will not be perfect. It takes practice. But two, it's not going to work with everyone. Not everything works with everyone all of the time. And so this is why people get discouraged. When it doesn't work like clockwork, like they want it to work, people get discouraged. All right. And they scratch it and they move on looking for something else. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. But that is why you see people often looking for the next thing. All right, I need this program. I need this person. I need that training. I need this. This didn't work because I tried it, for 36 hours and nobody joined me. I laugh about that, but it's kind of true. So remember, you're only looking to raise your numbers. You're only looking to raise how many people you sign. You're only looking to raise your points. It will never be 100% because, again, we are humans in a fallen world. It will never be 100%. We are not robots. Thank goodness that God did not create us that way. You cannot force plexus down people. But by listening, you do build trust. And I want to close this little section with this. You have to allow other people to steal the spotlight. And this applies to so many areas. When people come to us about plexus, we want to be their savior. We want to be like, I know what you want. I know how many you want. I know how to start you, blah, blah, blah. We want them to look back and be like, thank you, Jana. You cured my migraines. We want that. We want that in our business. We want everybody to be like, whoa, what a great leader she is. Oh my goodness, I want to be like her. And if that's your mindset, I promise you, you're always going to struggle. You have to allow someone else to steal the spotlight. And that goes with everything I've said tonight. Every single thing I have said tonight, because everything I've said tonight is about turning the attention off of you and turning it on the other person. And just to show you that I struggle with this just like anyone else, I read the little quote by Mark Twain that says, "Great things can happen when you don't care who gets the credit. It is hanging on a sign right in front of me." And I'm telling you, it's true. Great things can happen when you don't care who gets the credit. And I want great things to happen of way over getting any credit. So allow other people to steal the spotlight, and you're going to have a lot more success in this business, in your conversations, in life. All right. Okay. So let me see. I want to skip ahead to trying to decide what I want to scratch here. Okay, I'm going to try to do all of this in 10 minutes. We'll see. Okay, I want to take another minute. We're going to go to the chat real quick, and I want you to answer 2 questions. And this can be as brief or as long as you want them to be, but we don't have a ton of time. I want you to tell me wait and listen for both questions. I will copy and paste this in the chat after I read it. First question, what do you like about your Plexus business? That is your first question you're going to answer. And then your next question is, in regards to your Plexus business, what would you like to see next? I want to know those 2 things. What do you like best about your Plexus business? And what would you like to see next? So I'm going to give you 60 seconds to answer that.
What do you mean by what would you like to see next? Is in
What do you want to
product
see next happen in your business?
Okay.
Yeah. Doing this with friends, and I would love to see their dreams come true. I love the freedom I have, helping my friends feel better, and you want to go senior silver. Perfect. Love it. Great answers. Working with my team is my favorite. Would love to help them all rank up. Love it. Love the flexibility. Okay, they're all coming through. I want to help my girls reach their goals. Love it. Love it. I love the flexibility with an adequate compensation plan. I'm always looking for growth of all my leaders. And it's okay to say you want to rank up. I just want you to know that. That's okay. It is totally fine to say, hey, I really want to rank up. I would love to see that. Heck yes, I do. It's okay to say that. That is normal, y'all. I'd love to get to senior gold. Who doesn't want to? Love it. Okay. I love this. I love your answers. So I want to talk to you, especially any of you that have anybody on your team. Okay. You have signed up anybody. All right. A lot of us have built some sort of business. If you're silver, senior silver, you have a business. Okay. So one of our jobs in this business is to coach our people. If they want coaching, some people don't want coaching, but if they want coaching, I want you to rethink how you help people and how you coach people. All right. I want you to coach with only 2 lists. When you are coaching people, I want you to coach with those 2 questions. I want you to tell me what you like best, because oftentimes people come into this of like, oh my gosh, I lost this many points. Oh my goodness, blah, blah, blah. That's why I've stressed tonight the importance of seeing the positive side. What do I love about this? What is so great about this? What's awesome about my team? What's awesome about this business? What's awesome about our products? And I want you to exhaust that list when you are talking to someone. I mean, don't let them give you just one answer. I want them to tell you all the things they love about Plexus, and what do they love about our team, and what do they love about the income, and what do they love about corporate, and everything before you move on to the next list. And the next list is, What would you like to see next? Right? What would you change next? Do you see the difference in that versus talking to someone? And how many of us have been there in Plexus or in life where the entire conversation turns into a gripe session about everything in the past, right? How many of us have been there? It doesn't have to be a Plexus, maybe it's just in life. And you're like, I'm not getting anywhere. I am not getting ahead with this person because I went down the rabbit hole of what happened? Tell me all the problems. I don't want to coach that way. I want to find out the positives. I want to know there has to be positives or else they're not still here. They're not still here if there's not positives. And then I want to know, what do I want to see next? What can I do different? Like what can I do? What can I do different? What can I change? I want to ask with those questions. I want to ask, what have you learned? Where are you currently? I want you to tell me today. I don't want to know where you were a year ago and you're upset because you're not still there. I want to know where you are today and where you want to be. And that's how I want to coach people. This was eye-opening for me. I hope it's eye-opening for you. And again, I know some of you are thinking, well, I don't have a team to coach. You probably do. You probably have some people that you need to get on a phone call with and you need to help them work through, he called them lists. These are really lists that you have a conversation with. So I want you to work through those those two lists. The key to influence with this though, really with anything is to show up neutral. You do not show up knowing you are right about something. You may be right. You may, again, like I mentioned earlier, you may know the problem. You may know why the products aren't working. You may know why their business isn't working. You may know why they aren't signing up a soul. You may know all those things, but your job is to show up neutral and actually take it a step further and believe that you might actually be wrong. And until you have exhausted all the questions, you don't know that you're right. You just don't know. All right. So that's why it's so important that we are asking the questions, that we are getting curious, that we are asking the right questions. So, okay, I'm going to skip that part. Okay, this is the last thing I kind of want to cover. I'm going to try to cover it fast. I want you to know this. I love systems. I've been working on some systems for our team to update some systems that I want to use. I love systems, but I want you to know this because in the day and age we live in, when I first started Plexus, nobody even knew what a system was. You're like, a system? Like, what are you talking about? Now there's so many that it's overwhelming. And what it actually does in turn is shuts people down. All right. So I have this love-hate relationship with systems. I really, truly do. And if you know me, you know that that's true because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen no systems and what that does. And I've seen overwhelming amounts of systems. And like I mentioned earlier, people trying it for 4 to 8 hours and they're scratching it and moving on to the next system. And that only creates confusion. You do nothing but create confusion for your people when you do that. If there was a plug and play system that worked 100% of the time, actually none of us would be successful. Because if that was the case, if it were that easy, everybody would be doing it. Who wouldn't be doing it, right? And then no one would really be making any money. You are the proven system. Write that down. I don't care where you are. I don't care what your rank is. You are on this call tonight. You have a desire to grow your business. You are the proven system. You may need to do some work to document that. You may need to look back and say, how did I get here? How did I rank up to gold? What did I do? It was 5 years ago. I need to think back, and I am my own proven system, and you are your proven system. So I want you to remember that when you hear the word system. before you dive into the next new hot thing, which is great. I love them. I really do. I want you to remember at the core, though, I'm my proven system. All right. So when it comes to systems and you are thinking about that, I want you to remember you must always get back to the basics. Always. If your system is not going back to the basics, then it's flawed. You must do the basics to a high standard consistently. Let me repeat that. Do the basics to a high standard consistently. And lastly, you can never get bored with the basics. When you're bored with the basics, that is probably the problem in your business. You have to go back to the basics. All right. I have so much more here, so much more, but I've been talking to you for an hour and I just kind of want to close this up, even though my last point's so good. It's not my point, it's Phil's point. I will just have to cover it later. I will have to cover it later. I want to leave you with a couple things. So success is a feeling. It is a feeling. You aren't successful, you feel successful. Success is in the eye of the beholder. It is. I can tell you sitting in a room as a 3-star diamond with Celeste, who's a 12-star diamond, it's really tempting to sit in that room and think, am I a success? I could be more successful. Success is a feeling. All right. You aren't successful, you feel successful. So when you have someone that wants to quit, you have to remind them of their success. All right. Again, there's so much to expound on that. All right. We'll get to that at another day. Again, everything I've given to you tonight is about mastering moments, not necessarily words. You want to master the moments you're in. It takes a lot of practice. This takes practice, but I can tell you from reading this book a long time ago to trying to put some of this into practice, this book does walk you through so much of what I covered tonight, so much of it. So get this little book, listen to it on Audible. You'll probably want the hard copy because I feel like you're going to take a lot of notes in it. And you're going to want to mark it up. But then I want to challenge you. I want to leave you with a challenge. So I want to challenge you something he challenged us with that I have not done yet. I'm embarrassed to say, but maybe we can all do it together. All right. I want to challenge you to take 24 hours and go 24 hours without giving any advice. See if you can do it. 24 hours. I think it will be eye-opening and ear-opening to you when you do that. Once you do it, go a little further. See if I can still have wonderful, healthy, successful conversations where I didn't give a lick of advice. It can be done. And when it's done, it changes everything. You will have customers that will not leave you. You will have team members that will not leave you. Your team will grow because anytime you can make somebody else think it was their idea to buy Plexus, it was their idea to work their business, it was their idea to share their link, there's no stopping them when it's their idea and not you cramming Plexus down their throat. I don't think I said this. At one point he said, you got to be careful. You can't he said, you don't want to show up with commission breath. I laughed so hard. We were like, repeat that. He said, commission breath. You don't want to show up with commission breath. We always say you don't want to puke Plexus. Same thing. So you've got to show up in the right way. They don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. All right. That's what this really all boils down to. But yes, Sunday, it's so hard being a mother, even especially of grown children. You want to give advice, right? So Sherry, yeah, you may need to wait till like a Saturday. That's going to be hard as first grade teacher. So I want to just close with that. I really do have so many other notes. It was so hard trying to take all my notes and figure out where to go with this. It was such an excellent training. If you can ever listen to any of his trainings, I'm really hoping Plexus brings him back. I do think that he will. And I will definitely, I'm more than happy to do a part two. I want to expand on some of these things that we talked about tonight. You can see why I left that day just phew, you know. I do want to tell you, if you need to hop off, that's totally fine because I understand. We did have a like almost 4 hour meeting with the executives. I could not be more excited about the things that are coming. I know we say that. Okay, I need to reword that. I am just, I left feel like overwhelmed. My head hurt. I had a lot to process, but feeling so grateful for executives that listen, grateful for where we're headed. We are headed for some great things in Plexus, but on this team. My belief has never been higher. I'm just blown away by it. The fact that in a company like ours, did you know in a company like a normal network marketing company, a lot of times your CEO and your president never show up for anything. People don't even know who they are. Ours shows up. They want to talk to you. They know your life. They want to be part of your life. They show up to a meeting with 30 diamonds that have a lot of questions, and they stick around and say, we'll stay here all night if we need to. And that's so unheard of. Talk about what we've been talking about here. Talk about just making you feel seen and heard, and they want to know you. There's a reason why so many people stick around, and why so many people, it starts at the top. It always starts at the top. So I'm very excited about what's to come. More than excited, just just incredibly like motivated to work, motivated to move forward, not look in the past and just move forward with the future. So excited about it. So thank y'all for hopping on. I so appreciate it. I always get a little nervous really sharing other people's information. So it's a little nerve-wracking, but thank y'all. I'm going to say a word of prayer real quick. Actually, is Cindy still on? Hey, Cindy, will you unmute and pray for us before we hop off?
Would love to. And Jana, thank you so much. This was amazing. I took pages of notes and I can't wait to get the book. This was awesome. Thank you. Thank y'all for hopping on. Let me pray real quick. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything you've given us. And Lord, thank you for giving Jana the opportunity to go and learn and take notes and be able to pour into us. And I'm hoping that all of us, I know for me, I'm so grateful. It's like it came at the right time, and God knows our hearts and God knows exactly what we need. And just thank you, Lord. Thank you for this wonderful information. Thank you for each person on this call. Lord, ask that you put your hand of blessing on each person and they have a great evening. In Jesus' name, amen. This was so good, Jana.
Well, it wasn't my information. I wish.
You were a good
I wish
teacher, though. This is amazing to be
he
able to
is
relay it to where
brilliant. I
we
mean,
can understand it. This was awesome.
yeah, he's brilliant. If you guys have any questions, if there's something I said that you want me to post or something, just message me and I'm more than happy to share it. So anyway, all right, guys, I'll see some of you in just a few days. I'm so excited. So excited. Cannot wait. My parents are coming, for those of you who don't know. My dad has come to convention once or twice, but never a trip like this. Mom earned it. Mom's on here. And mom and dad are coming. I'm so excited about that. So this is going to be a fun trip for me and Steve. I'm really pumped. It's going to be fun and excited to see some of y'all. Yes, we definitely need to take a team picture, Lauren. I need to get us all on a chat. I'll work on that. I will work on getting us all on a chat. I just got my list today from my guy at corporate with who all on my team actually earned it, because I thought I knew everybody, but I was like, I don't want to miss out on anybody. So I'll try to get us a chat going so we can definitely all meet up. And then y'all, convention contest. I think some really like some more information about convention contest is coming. And so if you have never been to convention, or if you're thinking about not going to convention, I am telling you, get your hiney to convention. Get yourself there. You want to be at convention this year. I mean that. You want to be there. You will regret it if you don't come. So get there. I'm excited. Very excited. So get yourself to convention, if nothing else, just so we can all see each other. I just need to see y'all. Y'all give you a hug, have these little conversations in person. So, all right, guys, I'll see y'all later.